Today we're going to focus on line as an element of design, and we are going to be creating this spider web out of lines and different kinds of patterns and designs. And then later we can even create this little foil spider to go on it, but I'm going to put him off to the side for now so that we can focus in on our design. Now, the first thing to do whenever we're creating our line design is we have to just first create our spider web. Now the web is made up of lines, so what we're going to do is on a blank paper here, I'm just going to take a pencil and I'm going to divide the paper in half this way. So I'm just going to draw a line dividing the paper in half, and then I'm going to divide the paper in half the other way. Now what I want to do is go from the center, and I want to draw from the center to the corner. So I'm going to draw a line out to the corner, a line out to this corner, as close to the corner as I can get, and a line out to this corner, and then finally a line out to that corner. So it kind of creates an X. Now that's the basic setup. The next thing we have to do is do the curved lines. So imagine that the lines are being pulled towards the center. So we want to make sure that we get the curve in the right direction. So imagine this string being pulled towards the center. So it would go in towards the center. Some of my students get it reversed and they want to go out this way. And that's not the way it goes. It doesn't go out from the center. So if you accidentally do that, just erase it. Imagine it being pulled in towards the center. So I'm kind of making like little stretched out U's and then upside down U's. And I'm just starting wherever I stop. I'm going from line to line and then back where I started from. Then I'm going to move up a little bit and I'm imagining these are being pulled in towards the center. In towards the center, the whole way around again. Take your time doing this. And remember, it's not out, it's being pulled in towards the center and back to where I started. I'll do it again. I'll move up a little bit more. Now you can do this however many times you have room. Some people do them far apart and they only have room for a few. And then other people do them very close together and they have room for a lot. So I'm spacing mine kind of far apart. So I'd like you to have at least 3 lines. If you have more, that's fine. All right, so now I have my basic web and I've done that in pencil because I can erase mistakes if I do it in pencil first. After you do it in pencil, then I want you to take either a dark colored marker, it could be a Sharpie, it could be just a black marker, it could be a black crayon, it could be a black colored pencil, anything that you can use to make these lines a little bit darker. So I would always draw lightly at first, that way it makes it easy to erase, and then when you're ready to keep your lines, then you can go over it with something darker. So now I'm going to take, I like to use Sharpies, so I'm just going to use my Sharpie and carefully go over all of my lines. Now I'm working on my kitchen table here and I don't want to get marker all over the table, so I'm just going to take a blank paper and put under here, and you might want to do that too if you're working at home or even in art class. Put something under it so that you don't get the permanent marker bleeding through the paper and getting all over the table. So I'm going to trace over these lines the same way that I drew them. My X first, and then out to the corners. And then I'm going to trace these lines. I'm trying to stay on my line as much as I can, but if I miss it a little bit, it's okay. I can always go back with my eraser later and touch it up. So take your time doing this. Just going from place to place. See, I missed it a little there. I'm not going to worry about that because I can go back with my eraser. I can touch it up. This is my web. I have a lot of requests for how to draw a web, so I thought I would show you that. We can make our line design out of our web since it's made up of mostly lines already. All right, so now that I have traced that in a dark color, and if you don't have black, you can use any dark color, a purple or a dark blue or brown, something dark that'll show up when we do our other colors. Now, I missed the line here in a few places, so I'm just going to take my eraser and I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. So all I see is my dark line. I'm going to be coloring this, so this won't show too much anyway, but I'm just going to go ahead and clean it up a little bit. All right. My next step is I want to add some background color. So as you can see on the final copy, some parts have the background completely colored in. Other parts have kind of a white background with line designs drawn over top of them. So I'm going to add just some background color to every other one of these, and that way I'm assured that I have a nice, bright, colorful picture. You can use markers for this. You can use colored pencils. You can use crayon. I have some crayons here, so I'm just going to use those. And I'm going to color in an entire section, just one. Try to go in one direction as much as you can so it doesn't look all scribbly. And again, you might want to use that paper underneath so when you're doing around the outer edge, you're not coloring on the table. All right, so I have a solid color there. Maybe I want some yellow. I'm going to skip a space, and then I'm going to do another color. So I'm going to leave this space white. I can always come back and add other colors to that when I'm ready for my design. But right now I'm just going to leave that one white and color the next one. Take your time when you color. Again, you don't want it to look all scribbly, especially if you're using markers. You have to use the marker in one direction as much as you can so that it doesn't look like you scribbled it and take away from your design. All right, I'm going to leave this one white. I'm going to move to this one and do a color over there. I think I'll do purple there. So coming out, you can see I'm just doing the triangle, the whole thing out to the edge of the paper. Color here. I'm coloring lightly because what I want to do is go back over this later and make some designs with other colors. So in order to do that, I have to color this kind of lightly so that I can see my other color when I go over it. So now I'm going to leave this white, move on to this one. I think maybe I'll do that one. I haven't done green yet. I'll do green. Oops. So what I end up with when I'm finished with the first step in coloring this, I'm going to end up with 4 sections that are colored in and 4 sections that are not colored in. All right, so I'm assured now that I have some nice color on there. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be adding different kinds of lines to all these different areas. And in one area, I'm going to stick with the same kind of line in that area. So for example, if I want to do a spiral design, I'm going to pick a color that is going to show up over top of red. So yellow may not show up over top of red, but blue will, and I want to press kind of hard so that it's going to show up. So if I want to do a spiral design in this section, I'm going to fill this whole red section with my line, with the same kind of line. I can come back and add a second kind of line if I want to, but first I'm going to fill it all up with one kind of line. These don't have to be all the same size. And you're going to be filling it up with your own lines, whatever lines you decide you want to use. All right, so that would finish that section. Like I said, you can use these sections, you can color these, but I like to leave them white so that I have the choice of what I want to add to it. So for instance, maybe I would like a zigzag design in this one. So I'm adding my zigzag lines. And maybe I would like to color inside this. I can do that. And then I said before, you could add a second kind of line design if you'd like. Start out putting this in the whole section, and then if you want to add another kind of line, you can do that. So maybe I want to add purple loopy lines coming out along the side. So I can add that. So I can have more than just one kind of a line. You can feel free to go back and like maybe I want to do something inside this just to kind of accent the direction that it goes. All right, and that section could be called finished. I will do the same thing, continue on around until I've filled up every section with different kinds of lines. So let me pull my finished one. You can also do things like polka dots, which are actually a closed line, and then you can fill it in. I did this in just curved lines that kind of ends up looking like a scaly texture, and this one I did kind of crisscross lines, and then I just picked a few things to color in both of these areas, so I don't have to do an entire checkerboard, although you could if you wanted, but I just chose a few to color in. Here I used dotted lines. I combined areas here. I did a line this way and then I did lines this way. So you can be as creative as you can with this, and they turn out looking really nice whenever you're finished. And I would break this up into maybe 2 art sessions. So you could get maybe half of your lines and your designs done, and then the second class you can use to do the second part of your line designs. And then it should take about 2 classes. And then I'll also show you in a separate class how to make the little spider, if you'd like to add the little spider to your finished design. Give them a home to live in. And then it'll be all finished, and we can add that to our journals under the element of line.